Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello there on the programme this evening.
I held onto the gate where I was kicked and punched. I could not hold on for long.
A pro-democracy protester tells a news conference he was dragged into the grounds of the Chinese consulate in Manchester and beaten. The Chinese consulate tells us the grounds were stormed by a mob.
I am a fighter and not a quitter.
But who's backing her fight? Not the Home Secretary and not Hazel Grove MP William Wragg. We're live with all the latest North West reaction to another crazy day at Westminster.
Former Wigan prop forward Danny Sculthorpe on the brain tumour affecting his memory and his hopes for a full recovery.
And I've been at the Science and Industry Museum in Manchester checking out the new music exhibition where you can even have a go at making your own tunes.
Well, first tonight, a pro-democracy protester involved in a violent clash at the Chinese consulate in Manchester says he's now scared for his and his family's safety.
Yeah, Bob Chan from Hong Kong says he needed to go to hospital for treatment after he was dragged into the consulate's grounds and beaten. He says he was shocked that it had happened on British soil.
Well, the Chinese consulate today told us a mob had attempted to enter their grounds illegally. Claire Hanna has this report.
Let me say it again so it is clear. I was dragged into the consulate. I did not attempt to enter the consulate voluntarily. I'm shocked and hurt by this unprovoked attack. I'm shocked because I never thought something like this could happen in the UK.
3 days since Bob was thrust into the centre of a diplomatic storm after this footage emerged, he's told a packed press conference his version of what happened at the Chinese consulate in Manchester at what he says was a peaceful protest.
I held onto the gate where I was kicked and punched. I could not hold on for long and was eventually pulled into the grounds of the consulate. It was then my hair was pulled and I felt punches and kicks from several men. Other protesters were trying to get me out of this situation, but to no avail.
And now, for the first time, we have heard directly from the consulate. At the Chinese consulate today, just behind these trees, it is all quiet, but two members of staff, very keen to put their side of the story across, did come out. They provided us with footage from their own CCTV cameras and also given us a copy of a letter which has been sent to Greater Manchester Police from the Consul General. Now, this letter says the protest on Sunday was anything but peaceful. It says protesters had offensive imagery which they believe was designed to provoke staff here. It also says protesters stormed the grounds of the consulate, which resulted in a scuffle which ended up in one protester grabbing a member of staff from the consulate and not letting go. Now, the letter finishes by asking Greater Manchester Police if there are any more protests here in future, the force makes greater effort to ensure staff here are safe. The consulate also says its cameras picked up one of its members of staff being kicked and beaten. Now, this footage is edited. We can't actually see some of the parts described in the letter sent to Greater Manchester Police. Former Tory party leader Ian Duncan-Smith says what the Chinese authorities are saying does not ring true for him.
But worth bearing in mind what the CCP put out, which was that they said that they hadn't dragged them in and that they had trespassed originally. Of course, the videos show that to be complete nonsense, and his testimony now completely refutes that, which means they were attempting to lie to the rest of the world about what actually happened.
Greater Manchester Police say their investigation is continuing, with the major incident team looking at all CCTV footage, police body cam footage and mobile phone films to try and build up a proper understanding of what happened in the grounds of the Chinese consulate. But for Bob, this has left a lasting impact, with him saying he now fears for his and his family's safety. Claire Hannah, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, next tonight, the Prime Minister vowed to fight on today in the Commons and promised stability. But since then, the Home Secretary has gone and Tory MPs have been publicly denouncing their leader. Hazel Grove MP William Wragg was one of them and admitted he was ashamed of his party.
Yeah, and as Tory MPs from the region consider their confidence in Liz Truss, another key vote is taking place tonight on fracking. Let's cross live now to our political correspondent, Leisha McNally. Leisha, this is an important vote for the Prime Minister.
Indeed, Gamal. I mean, look, fracking has always been capable of sending seismic ripples of worry through Westminster. Tonight, though, it could become an absolute earthquake. Tory MPs have been put on what's called a three-line whip, basically told they could be booted out of the party unless they vote against their own 2019 manifesto pledge to ban fracking. In other words, they must side with the government at all costs. And that's because tonight is being treated not so much as a vote about the future of shale gas extraction, but a vote about the future of the Prime Minister. It's undoubtedly very high stakes for Liz Truss when those votes are counted in just under an hour's time. But this has all become really complicated. You mentioned William Wragg. Well, he did something very clever this afternoon, basically reminding any would-be rebel MPs that there's a very good reason to temporarily side with Liz Truss, and it's not a reason to her advantage. Have a listen.
If I vote as I would wish, then I would lose the whip. I would no longer be Vice Chair of the 1922 Committee. I would no longer maintain a position as a Chair of one of the Select Committees of the House. And indeed, because of that, my letter lodged with my honourable friend, the member for Altrincham and Sale West, would fall. And I wish to maintain that letter with my honourable friend.
Yes, believe it or not, mere months after Boris Johnson was ousted, we're back to counting those famous letters of no confidence, lodged with the MP for Altrincham and Sale West, Sir Graham Brady. Letters which, if enough are handed in, are capable of ousting the Prime Minister from number 10.
Well, quite extraordinary turn of events there again, Alicia. But Liz Truss faced Parliament today during PMQs. How did she get on?
Well, Liz Truss put on a very brave face for her MPs today. As she said, she's a fighter, not a quitter. And she's pledged that she will still be in her post to lead her party into the next general election. But the big question is, will North West Conservative MPs really let her do it? Officially, that general election is still 2 years away. But when I asked some of our local MPs if she could last that long, one privately said they thought she'd be lucky to last into next week. And of those brave enough to go on camera today, when we talked about how their party could steady the ship or win that next general election, neither mentioned the Prime Minister.
I think it's fair to say there's nervousness, and I am feeling nervous, but yeah, end of the day, I trust that, I hope that my voters will look at what I've done and how I've stood up for them and take that into account when it comes to the ballot box. But we're 2 years away from an election, and bear in mind we've basically got 2 years behind us since the last election, so we're at that halfway point. Everything can change still.
Well, I think what the Chancellor's gone and done is calmed the horses, is a nice way of putting it. He does know what he's about, he knows his own mind, and he's gone to the Prime Minister and said, look, you've cut too deep too fast, and this is how we have to do things from here on in. And the markets have rallied round knowing that Jeremy Hunt is there.
Would Jeremy Hunt make a better Prime Minister than Liz Truss?
Well, I campaigned twice for Jeremy to be Prime Minister. Let's wait and see.
So how long could we have to wait and see for? Liz Truss now has to prove that she is an asset when it comes to voters. And make no mistake, the North West is the battleground for that next general election. The latest polls out this week make for really grim reading for those North West Conservatives in red wall seats, now wondering if they'll be able to hang on to them. If those MPs move against her, then the game is up. However, that fracking vote goes tonight.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Leisha McNally in Westminster for us there.
In other news today, and a handgun found stashed in a bag in a graveyard in Liverpool could be linked to the murders of Sam Rimmer, Ashley Dale or Olivia Pratt-Corbell. The semi-automatic weapon and ammunition was found in West Derby Cemetery yesterday. Police are now forensically testing the weapon to see if it has been used before. Ashley, Sam and Olivia were all killed in separate shootings in August.
Footballer Mason Greenwood's been granted bail following a private hearing in Manchester. The United forward faces charges of attempted rape, assault and controlling and coercive behaviour. The 21-year-old will be released from custody with conditions until he appears in court again next month.
A 16-year-old boy has been arrested after a firework was thrown onto the pitch during the Cumbrian derby last night. It happened in the 3rd minute of the match between Carlisle United and Barrow. The firework narrowly missed Blues goalkeeper Michael Kelly. The boy has since been released under investigation.
And in the last hour, we've had some fantastic news. The 3 dads who set out to raise £10,000 for national suicide prevention charity Papyrus have just hit the £1 million mark. Andy Airy, Mike Palmer and Tim Owen started 3 dads walking after the deaths of their daughters. They recently finished a trek across the UK and say they've been overwhelmed by public kindness and generosity.
Well, next, and as soaring prices push inflation to a 40-year high, many are worrying about the cost of heating their homes.
Yeah, more and more people are choosing electric blankets as a low-cost option for keeping warm on the cold nights.
But are they really all they're cracked up to be? We sent our Merseyside correspondent, Andy Bonner, to find out more.
People are preparing for winter earlier this year, and rising bills mean they're looking for alternative ways to keep warm. Many are waking up to the cost benefits of electric blankets, but firefighters on Merseyside are urging caution about their use.
We'd expect more people to have electric blankets at this time of the year. Some people might be struggling due to the rises in the cost of living. So what we would say to them is, you know, if you do need to use your electric blanket, then just be careful if it's older. Make sure that it is serviceable and that it's working okay. And also, if you're purchasing a new one, it's quite important that you look exactly where you're buying that item from.
At this bedding supplier, there's been a huge increase in sales compared to this time last year. Electric blankets are flying from its shelves.
We've seen a real uplift in terms of high-tug duvets and electric blankets, heated throws. So it's clear that consumers are getting ready for the colder weather, but much earlier than we've seen before. You know, we're talking 200 or 300 times uplift in terms of sales, so it's incredibly busy at the moment.
Even with the government's energy price cap guarantee, prices have still risen. Using more still means bigger bills, so many people feel they have to cut back on heating. Now, the figures are different for everyone, so let's look at a typical household. To warm an average home for an hour with a 24 kilowatt gas boiler, it would cost £2.47. Warm a room instead with a 2 kilowatt electric heater and it would set you back just 68 pence. A 100 watt electric blanket, meanwhile, costs a fraction of that, setting you back less than 4 pence an hour. It's no wonder some people are choosing to heat themselves instead of their homes.
When I came in, the fire was raging. On the left-hand side of the bed, the pillows are on fire, the quilt was on fire.
No amount of savings could persuade John to use an electric blanket again. The former firefighter from Merseyside bought one from abroad and lost everything in a blaze, which started in his own bedroom.
It's just gone. Totally gone. Everything gone. There's no price on your life. Electric blanket to me is a risk. And it's to be honest, when you get in a bed with an electric blanket, it's lovely. It's absolutely great, but some people leave them on because apparently you can leave them on all night. I wouldn't have one in the house now. It was just a nightmare.
Thankfully, such fires are rare. Reputable suppliers say new electric blankets are checked for faults and will be safe if used properly. But if in doubt, get it tested before you use it. Andy Bonner, ITV News.
Yeah, it's reminded that if you are going to use one, you've got to be very, very careful.
Very, very careful indeed.
Yeah. OK, time for sport now. And a former rugby league hero opens up about his failing memory. Here is David.
Yeah, incredibly worrying times for Danny Sculthorpe and his family. The former Wigan prop forward has revealed he's been diagnosed with a brain tumour which is badly affecting his short-term memory. The good news is doctors believe the benign growth can be treated. Danny's been speaking to Mike Hall.
Danny Sculthorpe's rugby league career was blighted by injuries.
I've had 3 shoulder reconstructions, I've had 8 operations on my spine, I've had my right thumb fused, I caught sepsis for the 2nd time in my right leg, I had 24 operations in 12 months on my right knee, loads of dislocations of my kneecap.
Now, 12 years after his retirement, he faces yet more adversity after scans revealed a benign brain tumour that's now massively affecting his health.
Emotions, memory, it's in my frontal lobe, which is the emotional memory part, massively affects me. I can't remember what I've done yesterday or what I wouldn't know what I've got tomorrow.
Is it to the extent that perhaps even tomorrow you would forget having done this interview?
Possibly, yeah.
That's pretty hard to take, isn't it, that?
It is hard, yeah, it is hard, but it's something that I've got to live with. I can't control this tumour, so what's the point in me worrying about it? You know, it is what it is.
So how are you feeling today?
You know, I woke up this morning, quite a bad headache, but seems to have settled. You know, I'll try and drink as much water as I can, try and keep hydrated.
So far, medication has been unsuccessful. Danny still has up to 40 seizures a day. The last resort is surgery.
99% of these operations work, and the only 1% that don't is because they've left a little bit in and it regrows, but it's not a life-threatening illness. It's just something that needs sorting because, you know, I've got 3 kids and I don't want to be forgetting their names and stuff like that.
Danny's memory issues have not been caused by rugby league, but 75 former players claim theirs has. Danny says he doesn't support their current legal action against the sports authorities.
You know that you're going to get smacked in the head playing rugby, or you did. You knew that you were going to give someone a crack in the head. That was just part of the sport, but it's not now because of the science that we know about.
But you must still have sympathy for those players who are suffering memory loss as a result of playing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if they're affected by early onset dementia, then I feel massively sorry for them. But the thing for me is that we all knew what we were going into, and the rugby league can't be blamed for something that they didn't know. This is the 2004 Challenge Cup final when we played against Uncle Paul.
Despite years of injuries and ill health, Danny has no regrets about playing the game he loves. He now fully supports his 13-year-old son, Louis, in his rugby career, in the hope the sport is now safer than ever before. Mike Hall, ITV News, Wigan.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
In tonight's football, Jurgen Klopp will be in the dugout for Liverpool at Anfield, despite being charged by the FA for improper conduct after being sent off in his last match. Well, Klopp was shown a red card against Manchester City for his outburst towards the assistant referee. Liverpool host West Ham this evening, while Everton go to Newcastle and Manchester United face Tottenham. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't too happy at being substituted at the weekend, but United's manager says no top player likes being taken off.
Non-player is happy when he get off, and especially not Ronaldo. I understand that. As long as it is in a quite normal way, no problem with that. He has the convincement he should stay on and he should score a goal. That is why he's that good.
Well, the championship table makes great reading for Blackburn fans after they moved into top spot. It could be short-lived, though, as their local rivals Burnley will go back above them with a win at Birmingham tonight. Blackpool and Wigan are also in action this evening. Well, Rovers beat Sunderland 2-0 at Ewood Park to go top. Goals from Ben Brereton Diaz and Scott Wharton saw them get the better of their former manager Tony Mowbray, whilst Preston are up to 8th thanks to an away win at Huddersfield. Craig Cunningham's header sealed the 1-0 victory.
Now, let's move on. Next, when you listen to your favourite songs, how do they make you feel? Happy, sad, or maybe a little bit of both?
Yeah, songs from the past can stir powerful emotions, and sometimes just hearing a piece of music can transport us back to a particular moment in time.
Well, we've been sharing the songs that have had a big impact on us over the years as a new exhibition opens at the Science and Industry Museum in Manchester.
Here's Zoe Maldine.
We all know songs that get our toes tapping or blood pumping. But did you know that music can influence what we buy and even how we drive? This new exhibition explores music's mysterious hold over us and how it impacts our everyday life.
There's lots to do here, there's lots to listen to, there's lots to get your hands on with, and one of the messages that we really want to get across is that we are all musical.
The exhibition looks at how we connect with music emotionally, why it makes us feel happy or sad, and even how it makes us move.
So this is an invitation to show us your dance moves, but also to experience the kind of research technology that's measuring how we synchronise to a beat.
Organisers have spent 4 years curating everything here. It's packed with weird and wonderful instruments that you probably didn't know existed, including a guitar made from a satellite dish.
This is the musical playground, an immersive part of the exhibition where you can have a go at making your own tunes, and there's really no right or wrong way to play.
It's really an invitation to our visitors to come and make music, experiment, have a go. Just lose your inhibitions about whether you're musically trained or not and get in there and make some music together.
One part of the exhibition focuses on personal stories from people in the Northwest about how music has affected them.
Here we have Charlie and his granddad Barry, so they're massive Man City supporters, but Barry lives with dementia, and the last day of the kind of season at Manchester City they took him to the ground, and then when the song Blue Moon started to play, his granddad started to sing, and they use music in his life to kind of, you know, excite him, stimulate him really, and help him with his kind of symptoms of dementia.
And if you've ever wondered what the future of music might look like,
scientists, roboticists, engineers are training robots on music making software. People have that fear that the robots are about to take over, or you know, AI is going to do everything and we'll no longer need human musicians, but I think we're in safe territory for now.
Turn It Up, The Power of Music runs from the 21st of October until May next year, before it heads off on an international tour. Zoe Muldoon, ITV News, Manchester.
Oh, looks great. So lovely to see Barry and Charlie, his grandson, there, wasn't it?
Kerry's got the weather.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, very good evening to you. Definitely more cloud around the region today, some heavy rain for the Isle of Man. With milder air, expect some mist and fog as we head into tomorrow. There will be some sunshine in the mix over the next few days. We stick with the mild air by day and by night, but often quite windy and often with showers or longer spells of rain. Basically, low pressure is in charge, feeding in weather systems spiralling around areas of low pressure. I think the best chance of the sunshine, dry conditions Saturday before another low sweeps in from the southwest for Sunday and into early part of next week. So overnight tonight, showery outbreaks of rain, some of which could be heavy, possibly thundery. It's already been a very wet day for the Isle of Man. Further outbreaks of rain later on tonight, and then behind that, as that system pushes northwards, some mild air, many of us staying in double figures. The winds become light, and then we see the mist and fog starting to form as we head towards tomorrow. So not quite as pretty as it was this morning. Very sometimes for tomorrow, 7:47 and 6:03, and a lot of misty low cloud around first thing, poor visibility, and really struggling to clear because the winds will stay light. I think the best chance is just down the eastern slopes of the Welsh Mountains there, down into parts of Merseyside and Cheshire, maybe some late brightness. Temperatures just above the average for the time of year. The wind's light but staying cloudy, misty, murky and damp, especially the further north you are. Now that system tracks its way away, we'll see some brief sunshine perhaps on Friday, but in between, showery outbreaks, heavy at times, mild but blustery. Saturday, the best day of the weekend, clouding up on Sunday with rain for later. Take care.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Right, Thanks very much indeed. Kerry, just before we go, a painting by L.S. Lowry is about to go under the hammer any minute now.
Yeah, Going to the Match is expected to sell for up to £8 million at auction. It's being sold by the Players Foundation charity to support its future work.
£8 million. Amazing.
It's a lot of money. Hopefully it'll be sold to somebody who is from and lives in the Northwest.
Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed.
Good night.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.